Hey everyone, this is the Body Wish. My name is Chris. It's an honor to be here. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. I help people achieve and maintain optimal well-being, and I use clinically proven methods. I point this out early on because in the health and wellness community, there's always a lot of anecdotal claims that are made and no medical studies to back those claims up. It's not how I operate. When I share a medical study or a statistic, for example, I will back it up with evidence that's in the public domain so that you can look it up for yourself and you can draw your own conclusions. That's good news because that means you don't have to take my word for it. I am a proponent of turning to nature before turning to medication. I'm not against medication. I just feel a lot of times nature is overlooked and it may very well have the solution that you're looking for. This presentation is educational. I don't diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disorder. That is the job of your healthcare practitioner. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about a number of health and wellness topics, including holistic remedies, affirmations, and the powerful impact that they can have on improving your self-confidence. I'll talk brain fog. I'm going to delve into fatigue. I am also going to spend a lot of time talking about how to lose weight without tracking calories. I'm very excited to share a protocol with you called the R2M, or the Race to Maintenance. So let's get started. I always like to start out by talking about some of the things that are necessary to have a successful wellness journey. I was going to say journal. Slip of the tongue. And believe it or not, it comes down to deciding who you want to be. I mean, it's that simple and it's that difficult. Many people would rather embrace a familiar hell than an unfamiliar heaven. And I get it. Sometimes taking the first step, even if it's something that's good for us, can be very intimidating. Especially when you're on the outside looking in, it's going to appear a certain way. But be that what it is, we do have to take that step if we want to see some change take place. So now I also want to talk about a lot of other reasons why people are having trouble. And maybe you're making a concerted effort to have a successful wellness journey and make those improvements in your life. And maybe you're hitting some resistance. And, let me show you what I'm talking about here. What I'm referring to, oh, there we go. I got a couple of slides here I'm going to be transitioning through. So what I'm referring to is what I call the three culprits that I just put up on screen here, which is, of course, nutritional deficiency, toxicity, and stress. What do they all have in common? Well, they prevent the body from repairing itself and running efficiently. So I'll go through each one now. I'll give you kind of a heads up, a short summary, however you want to call it. And then I'm going to elaborate on them as this presentation proceeds. All right, so let's start out with stress. Stress is present in all of our lives. Everybody deals with it in one shape or form, and what we want to try to do is minimize it and not transition to a place where we're living in a heightened state of anxiety all the time. And I get it. It's easier said than done. I've spent months, even years living in a heightened state of anxiety. The good news is I'm going to share some ways that you can help manage that better using both nutritional options as well as ways to improve your mindset with the power of affirmations. I am a big proponent of affirmations. These are short, powerful phrases that help to instill a sense of confidence and actually give you more of an optimistic outlook on life. Okay, let's jump over to the left to nutritional deficiency. This has become very problematic. Unfortunately, a lot of what we rely on in the supermarkets are missing the nutrients that we need. So I refer to those as nutritionally bankrupt. And that is so much of the food landscape these days. So that simply means we're not getting the nutrients in the abundance that the body needs in order to repair itself. Let's jump up to the talk. Let's jump up to the top where we have toxicity. There's a little bit of an overlap there with the TO. Toxicity may or may not even be on your radar, but toxicity is a function of the environment we live in. There's a lot more contaminants in the water, in the air, and a lot of these are in our foods. So when you get all three of these together and they always act together, they lock arms, they can absolutely have a negative impact in our well-being. And I put a short list of some of the issues that can stem from these three working together. Working together and working against us. So I want to pay particular attention to the second one from the bottom, weight gain. Mainly because this is a problem that continues to spiral out of control despite all the so-called solutions out there that are supposed to be helping people get their weight under control. So I do want to share some science with you. Let me go and switch slides here. Um, we have more than 1 billion people now around the world who are struggling with obesity, and that figure was released by the NCD Risk Factor Collaboration. You don't have to memorize this. You can always come back and watch the video again. That's always good for me and good for you as well. But the NCD Risk Factor Collaboration stated back as of 2022 that there are 1 in 8 people around the world. We've got 8 billion people. That means over 1 billion people now are clinically obese. And obesity has actually surpassed starvation as the leading form of malnutrition. So that was published by the Lancet Journal. So, the question that comes to mind, and I think this is a valid question, is why are the numbers going up? It's not because there's a shortage of solutions out there. I mean, last time I checked over a year ago, there were over 100 diets in the US alone, and worldwide the count that I saw was over 1,000. And new diets keep popping up all the time. Add to this, we have, for 20 years now, there's been drugs to suppress the appetite. So it's not because there's a lack of solutions out there. Quite the opposite. There seems to be an abundance, and yet the numbers continue to go up. Why is that happening? Well, in order to answer that question, we got to take a closer look at the method that people are using to lose weight and keep it off for the long haul. And I am, of course, referring to tracking calories. Now, we've been told for decades that tracking calories is the only way to lose weight. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not true. And I will back this up with research. You are always entitled to your own opinion, and I am, I pay particular attention to clinical research. That's what I'm going to share with you. So if you go online and you look up, go to the search engine of your choice and you search, for example, tracking calories doesn't work. Much to my own surprise, there's actually a lot of research out there that does not recommend counting calories, especially for the long term. I'm going to put a couple of studies on screen here so that you can take a look at this for yourself. We all know this school, Harvard University. They don't need an introduction. They're one of many schools who have published studies that don't recommend tracking calories. I'm going to get into the specifics of tracking calories in a minute. I just want to share some of the science that's out there. This is Medicare's search for an effective obesity treatment. Diets are not the answer. And then one last one, if you look up obesity apocalypse, you will find this. This was also published by the Lancet Journal. And the Lancet Journal is a British medical journal. It's one of the most respected in the world. And they're saying without immediate action here in the US, nearly 260 million people are expected to be overweight or obese by 2050. So that's not very encouraging. So it brings me back to the question I asked a minute ago. Why are we seeing these numbers go up so much? What's going on with this picture? So we got to take a deeper dive now into what happens when we track calories. Now, at first, the idea of eating less food makes perfectly good sense. And every diet out there works at first until it doesn't. And the problem with tracking calories is, well, there's a little bit of irony behind this. First of all, your body doesn't track calories. It doesn't know what a calorie is. What your body is hungry for isn't calories, it's hungry for nutrition. And it sounds like a simple enough remedy, right? Just start eating better foods. And that is part of the equation, absolutely. But there's more to weight loss than simply tracking calories. And when you go into a calorie deficit, oftentimes what happens is people are not getting enough vital nutrients in the process. So at first you start to lose weight, you get excited, you see the number on the scale dropping, you get fired up to fit into your skinny jeans, and then at some point people hit a plateau. Well, why are people hitting this plateau, especially when they were making progress? Because at some point, usually within the first couple of weeks, the brain will sense there's simply not enough nutrition for you. There's not enough nutrition converting to fuel for the body, so the body actually stops burning fat and it starts to target muscle. So it's actually grabbing amino acids from your muscle tissue in an effort to make up for the loss of fuel because you're just not getting enough of it from the foods that you're eating. That causes the metabolism to slow down. And that's why so many people hit a plateau. Now, to be fair, not everybody has this experience. Some people manage to do just fine going into a diet and they get the results that they want and they're able to keep it off for long term. But if you were here a couple minutes ago when I was showing you just some of the many studies out there that don't recommend tracking calories, including the NCD risk factor collaboration study where they said over 1 billion people are obese, well, it's fair enough to question, how well tracking calories is working because clearly it's not. The numbers would simply be coming down if it was working, but they're not. They're going in the opposite direction. So if tracking calories is not all it's cracked up to be, what other options do we have? Well, I'm very fired up to share a system that represents a big step forward in the way of nutrition science, and that is called the R2M protocol or race to maintenance. It's a 30-day reset. And interestingly, the researchers who crafted this modeled it after the lifestyle habits of people who live in the blue zones, as well as some other regions where people are living to 100 years or longer, and there's very low rates of illness. Nobody's overweight. Everybody's living these long, healthy, abundant lives. So the researchers wanted to figure out what's making these people tick. Why are they living such long, healthy, abundant lives? So in their research, they came up with this amazing protocol called the R2M. I'll put it up on screen now so you can actually take a look at it. And this system does not require tracking calories. In fact, it is such a big step forward in the way of nutrition science that it's not focused on what you eat or don't eat. It's focused in on nutrition. It's how much nutrition you're getting into the body. So I'll go through each one of these components, and you can think of these components as a solution for 3 different problems. Remember the slide I put up earlier, nutritional deficiency, toxicity, and stress? Well, that's what this is. This is a solution for all 3 of those. So starting on the left, we have these nutritionally dense superfoods. They're very easy to prepare. They're actually less than a Starbucks. And they have all 91 key nutrients, so they actually serve as a legitimate meal replacement without cutting corners on nutrition. They have digestive enzymes to help improve gut health. They were clinically proven to add more lean muscle, and I'm going to share one of the 10 studies with you, so keep your seatbelt on, hang tight, got a lot of good information to share. So what these do is they help to make up for the nutrients that are sadly no longer abundant in a lot of our store-bought foods. In the middle, we have intermittent nutritional fasting. Now, this is not the type of fasting you're familiar with where you may not eat for 1 or more days. I hope at least you're hydrating yourself, but some people, I don't even know if they're doing that. And on these days of intermittent nutritional fasting, you're not starving the body. You're still consuming nutrition, but you're consuming 16 different herbs, different botanicals that are great for helping the liver to rid the body of toxicity. So what am I talking about here? Well, we're exposed to toxins all the time. We're exposed to contaminants. These contaminants are in the air, they're in the water. A lot of these are in our foods. So what the intermittent nutritional fasting was clinically proven to do was help the liver more efficiently remove things like dioxins, PCBs, forever chemicals, microplastics, pesticides, herbicides. That's the short list. And by relieving the body of that burden of toxicity, the body does an amazing job of healing itself. And finally, on the right, we have adaptogens. Now, this was something that the researchers decided to add. Not based on the research they did in the blue zones, but they added this because adaptogens are a great natural remedy to help bring you back to homeostasis. See, there's your lesson in Latin for today. Homeostasis is a sense of feeling grounded. So when you're stressed out, adaptogens are great for helping to take the edge off, and they're also good for improving mental clarity when you're feeling tired and sluggish. Okay, that was a mouthful. So I want to show you now some incredible transformations, starting out with moi. This is me. I'll give you some background quickly on myself. I'm 62 as of this recording, and the picture on the right, the picture on the left was me 5 years ago. And I went through a very long period of my life, in fact, over 25 years, where I would get these really severe bouts of fatigue, tinnitus. Nobody seemed to figure out what was wrong with me. The blood work always came back normal. And what happened was, despite my best efforts, despite being under the guidance of a chef for 10 years, working with different doctors, naturopath, nutritionist, dietitian, everything I tried, I struck out. And what happened was in the last 5 years of that 25-year period, I ended up putting on the picture on the left there, I'm 171 pounds, and I actually peaked at 185. So that was the heaviest I've ever been, and I happen to be 5'7", so that's a whole lot of me I'm dragging around. So isn't that a Led Zeppelin song, a whole lot of me? Sarcasm. Um, anyway, the R2M came highly recommended to me. I was impressed with the story behind it, the research. But one of the things that really stood out to me was the fact that it has undergone 10 human clinical trial studies. So that's not something that you hear of too often. Now, these studies were done at different universities by experts in their field, and they've been published in some of the top medical journals and nutrition journals in the world. That was impressive to me. So I got on the system more out of curiosity than anything else. And a week into it, I had a very significant breakthrough. 5 years of brain fog had cleared up, got really good sleep, and throughout the 30 days, everything was improving. I was feeling my energy level was coming back, and quite honestly, I had to pinch myself. After striking out so many times, I couldn't believe something was actually working. So grateful that I was open to trying this out. And my weight has not fluctuated in the past 5 years. I don't agonize over what I eat. I eat for nourishment, and of course, I do eat some fun foods from time to time, but it's very, very once in a while. So let's take a minute and take a look at how easy this system is to implement. And if you've done diets before, or if you're doing GLPs, I think you guys are really going to like how simple this is. So I'll start in the middle with adaptogens. Adaptogens are something we're going to take for the entire 30 days, and we take them once a day. The red X's are the days where we're going to replace 2 of our 3 meals. That's it. No mental gymnastics with tracking calories and agonizing over what to eat. You simply replace 2 of your 3 meals with the 2 meals that are going to come with the R2M bundle. These are nutritionally dense. They're very low in calories, but they're super high in nutrition. And the ingredients that went into these R2M meals were actually sourced from specific parts of the world because the researchers wanted the most nutritionally rich ingredients they could find. So what all that means is your body's going to get flooded with the nutrients that sadly are no longer abundant in a lot of our store-bought foods. So that's what's going to help make up for that. The third meal will be something that I will help you with if you are not savvy in the kitchen. I've got a lot of options for you that are in the way of 400 to 500 calories, and these are going to be high in fiber, high in protein. So that's what those days of the red X's are all about. Those we're going to be flooding the body with nutrition. And then last but not least, the powerhouse component of this system is the intermittent nutritional fasting. So it's not water fasting, it's not time-restricted eating. With intermittent nutritional fasting, we're consuming 16 botanicals, things like aloe vera, turmeric, ashwagandha, alfalfa, raspberry, bilberry, blueberry, yellow dock, burdock, licorice root, eleuthero root. And what these botanicals do, and they were clinically proven to do this, is they are going to help relieve the body of toxicity. So in other words, on these days of fasting, these botanicals help the liver get rid of these awful contaminants such as pesticides, herbicides, microplastics, PCBs, dioxins, forever chemicals. And all of this was clinically proven in the studies, which I will show you in the studies. Hang tight with me for a couple more minutes. So that's it. You just replace 2 of your 3 meals with these R2M meals. These are easy to prepare. They taste delicious, and your body's going to finally get the nutrients it's been missing. Adaptogens every single day for the 30 days, and then you set the 4 days aside to do intermittent nutritional fasting. Now in the calendar, I've got them set up where you can do these days of fasting back to back, but if that is too much, because some people might have trouble fasting 2 days in a row, you can always rearrange the schedule so you're doing 1 fast per week. You're still getting in 4 days of fasting, So it's going to help to detoxify the body at the cellular level, and you can mix and match. You know, this is a flexible schedule. There's nothing rigid about this. I'll show you a couple of more incredible transformations that people got with this. So this was Kristen, and this is her 30-day metabolic shift. The thing to emphasize again is that there's no tracking calories with this. So what does that mean? It means nobody's losing lean muscle mass. Nobody's slowing down their metabolism. This is not a diet. This is primarily a very rigorous detox that's supported with high-quality nutrition. This is Curtis. Curtis is a little older than me. Curtis is 66, I believe. Check out his lab work. Curtis had, like all of us, we had an amazing 30-day transformation. The body was able to repair itself, rebuild itself, so the health markers improved as a result. And the weight is lost safely. You know, you're not starving the body of nutrition in the process. But take a look at his lab work. He had incredible results with this. And that's what happens when the body is given really high-quality nutrition. It can repair itself. The body is an amazing machine. We have to learn how to give it what it needs. We have to learn how to detoxify it, and it does an incredible job of repairing itself. This is Toby. Toby and I are actually in the same health and wellness group. Toby actually lives in New Zealand. Toby, this is YouTube. YouTube, say hello to Toby. Toby had a lot of the yo-yo diet effect where, you know, he tried a diet, lost weight, ended up putting it back on again. There's a body of evidence that proves that this happens to between 80 and 90% of people who go on diets. They end up losing the weight and then they put it back on again within 2 to 5 years. So Toby learned about this amazing protocol, and look at him. He had such an amazing transformation, and his body is like a well-tuned machine now. And the great thing about this R2M, unlike a lot of diets and even the GLPs, is it's much easier to sustain your results without the mental gymnastics of hunger cravings, loss of lean muscle. None of that happens with this system. I'll show you one more. This is a young lady. Again, same kind of transformation. No loss of muscle, no slowing down the metabolism, just detox. This is primarily a detox that's supported with high quality nutrition. Anyway, we're back to the first slide here. So I did promise to show you some studies on this. I want to show you the first of 10 studies. This system, this R2M, has undergone 10 human clinical trials. This is the highest level of medical investigation there is, and they've been published in some of the top medical journals in the world. So the researchers wanted to see how well this system would do against the Mediterranean diet, which as of this recording has been the #1 diet in the US now, according to US News and World Report, for the 9th year in a row. These were the key findings. So the folks who were participating on the 30-day reset, they lost 56% more weight than those who were on the Mediterranean diet. Twice as much visceral fat. Now the reason why they lost twice as much visceral fat is because of the detox. So what happens is on those days of intermittent nutritional fasting where you're taking those 16 botanicals, your fat cells, I don't know if you can see me down here in the bottom right of your screen, my hands pretend it's a fat cell. The fat cells actually shrink in size upon eliminating these awful contaminants. So the weight is lost in a manner that is safe without slowing down the metabolism. That's why people are losing twice as much down in the tummy area. 25% less inflammation, 41% drop in food cravings. Food cravings are where hunger cravings are born. So people's food cravings were dropping. They were quieting down because the body was being nourished. 25% improvement in gut health. And then my favorite statistic in this is 6 to 9% more lean muscle. Now, what's the big deal about that? Well, for the purpose of these studies, nobody was allowed to exercise. Not because the doctors were against exercise, but they wanted to see how well the two systems would perform without the influence of exercise adding muscle or improving health markers. So people were actually adding lean muscle on this system without doing any exercise. And if anybody has a background in medicine or nutrition, you can see on the bottom of the screen the study was done at the University of Chicago, and that is the PubMed ID that will help you find it. It's called Protein Pacing and Intermittent Fasting. So quite an amazing journey with this. And I got on this system myself 5 years ago. I had incredible results. That's why I'm here sharing the benefits. I know a lot of you guys are struggling with this. I know from my own experience when I had, 25 years of dealing with such severe fatigue to a point I had to stop exercising. I tried working with professionals and, nothing against them. They just couldn't crack the code. I tried figuring out things on my own. I would go online and look things up and, swing and a miss. I can't tell you how many times I swung and missed over that 25-year period, probably more than I can count on both my hands. That's why I'm here to share this. So if what I've shared with you looks appealing, what I would encourage you is go to my channel here on YouTube, and there is a link that you can, it's a link tree. You can tap on that. That will take you to an info hub. And that will give you a lot more information. And if it looks appealing and you want to get more clarity on this, by all means, you can reach out to me here, drop a comment, or reach out to me through the info hub. There's a contact form, and I am fully here to provide free consultations and free coaching if you decide you want to try this system out. And by all means, let's talk. That's the best way to get clarity on something. And most importantly, I want to make sure that this is something that you see value in it for yourself. So that is about all I have to share with you today. I'm going to wrap this up. It's been an honor to be here. I always enjoy connecting with people. Let me know how I can help you. And by all means, go to the channel and check out the information hub. And let's see if we can make 2026 a stellar year for you and get your well-being back on track. Thank you. My name is Chris. This is The Body Wish. It's always an honor to be here.